confidence intervals and how you estimate parameters properly. And then we'll get into how to actually know which margin of error we should be using with our data, right? I want to know what the actual interval is that we should be using. That's enough. Nope, not quite. No, maybe, actually. Let's see if this works. Ish. There we go. Here, and again, you don't have to write this down because you're going to have this, and we've just mentioned it a bunch of times. If you write it down if you want to, you're going to have this presentation though. Those are the 3 steps that you're going to follow when you estimate a proportion, or you estimate a parameter. Because the whole idea is you're trying to estimate that parameter from a sample statistic. So the first thing you do is you get your sample, like we did with the coins. Here's your coins, spin them 10 times, put it all together. From that sample, find what statisticians often call a point estimate, which is what, in this class, it will only ever be percentages or averages. There are other things you can estimate. You can estimate medians, you can estimate variances, you can estimate standard deviation. I've tried all that stuff, and you've heard the phrase mile wide, inch deep. When I try to do too many of those in this class, I end up doing a whole bunch of stuff a little tiny bit. I'd rather spend all the time on 2 and spend the whole class doing those 2, so that eventually you begin to hear it in your sleep. Because if you start hearing it in your sleep and you start completing my sentences as I'm saying it, that means you've learned it, right? It makes Linda's like, yes, great. Like 243 all over again. So then you get to here. And last but not least, you have to slap the wings or the margin of error to take care, Kathy, of that sampling error. We can't take care of non-sampling error. The data's out the window at that point. But we can take care with a set level of confidence of what's called sampling error. And that's just the normal fluctuations that happen in the sample. It's going to happen. It has to happen. It's just a function of the randomness of data that it's going to happen. And I have about 8 years of data collected on this experiment that we'll show you guys momentarily. So we'll get into that. I want to take one trip back to these margins over here before we get back into this. We're going to take our 5 pretty soon too. Suppose, for example,